This is Tony T here from Tony'sPicks.com with our college football pick show. This is week 8, part 1. We do these in parts. We'll have them all done for you by the end of the week for all the Saturday games. For more free pick videos, be sure to subscribe to our channel. Lots of free picks over our channel delivered by myself as well as our team of cappers here at Tony'sPicks.com. Make it a great channel to subscribe to. Hit us up with that like, that thumbs up. We really appreciate it. We go live every day, 9:30 a.m. Eastern Time. It is the Tony's Picks Morning Show. Check it out if you can. Then visit our site, Tony'sPicks.com. We're a multi-capper site showcasing our top performers in our industry. Click the links to the hot cappers, get signed up to long-term passes. Top performers up here, guys like Sean Higgs, Rod, DeAndre, guys you know from our live shows, as well as our YouTube videos. Baylor's been red hot last 7 days, last 30 days. You see him on top of the leaderboard there. Catch him on our videos. DeAndre doing great, Alessandro and more. Those guys you know on our live shows, latest perfect series on the page with best bets and more will be locked and loaded here for this card on Tuesday. Remember, all of our one-day passes are profit guaranteed. They must turn a profit. Amount purchased is credit back to your account for site credits. That's profit guaranteed. And then our promo code TonyT at checkout knocks off that 15%. The link is in the description to get signed up. So let's go ahead. Let's get this one underway. I got Arizona and Houston for Saturday. Got Arizona falling to 4-2 after a 33-27 home defeat to BYU in overtime. Wildcats rushed for 184 yards for 4.8 yards a carry and were inefficient in the passing game. They surrendered 258 yards rushing to the Cougars with 5.1 yards a carry, along with 5.9 yards per pass attempt. Noah Fafita in the game, 25 of 45 passing for 219 yards with 2 touchdowns and 2 interceptions. Houston now 5-1 after a 39-17 road win at Oklahoma State. The Cougars were effective through the air and rushed for 166 yards for 3.7 yards a carry. Houston limited the Cowboys' ground attack to 1.5 yards a carry with 180 passing yards for 9 yards per pass attempt. Connor Wegman in the game, 21 of 30 for 206 yards with 2 touchdowns along with a rushing score. Dating back to last season, the Wildcats have lost the past 3 road conference games by 21 points or greater. The Cougars have defended well at home, holding teams to 3.3 yards a carry, 6.2 yards per pass attempt. Wildcats 0-4 the spread as road dog of plus 7 points or fewer. Houston 4-2 the spread as home favorite. Pick here Houston minus 2.5. Central Michigan and Bowling Green going off on Saturday. We got Central Michigan 3-3 after their 28-22 road defeat at Akron. The Chippewas rushed for 238 yards for 6 yards a carry, but inefficient in the passing game. They allowed 255 yards passing to the Zips for 8.2 yards a carry with 162 rushing yards for 4.4 yards per rush. Joe Labas in the game, 12-21 passing for 134 yards. Bowling Green now 3-3 after a 28-23 home victory against Toledo. The Falcons were held to under 2 yards per carry, but efficient in the passing the football. They allowed 3.8 yards a carry to the Rockets with 264 passing yards for 8.8 yards per pass attempt. Drew Pine missed the game due to injury. Lucian Anderson, 9 of 16 passing for 92 yards with 2 touchdowns and a pick. Chippewas have rushed for 4.5 yards a carry and got good quarterback play with 83% completion rate, 9.1 yards per pass attempt. Bowling Green is dealing with a banged-up starting quarterback. Their pass defense is allowing 8.7 yards per pass attempt. Pick here, Central Michigan, plus 5.5. Eastern Michigan and Miami, Ohio going off here on Saturday. We got Eastern Michigan 2-5 after a 16-10 home victory against Northern Illinois. The Eagles rushed for 149 yards for 3.9 yards a carry with inefficient passing. They limited Huskies' passing attack and allowed 218 yards rushing for 5.6 yards per rush. Noah Kim in the game, 19 of 32 passes for 147 yards with a touchdown and a pick. Miami, Ohio sits at 3-3 after a 20-7 road win at Akron. The Redhawks rushed for 3.6 yards a carry with movement in the passing game. They limited the Zips' run game and allowed 211 yards passing for 5.4 yards per pass attempt. Quan Finn in the game, 14 of 25 passing for 203 yards with a touchdown and pick. He rushed for 65 yards in the game. EMU has covered 4 of 5. They were competitive at Buffalo with a 1-point defeat. The Eagles have been good in pass defense against the MAC and rushing for 166 yards for 4.1 yards a carry. Miami, Ohio has dealt with issues with quarterback accuracy. Pick here Eastern Michigan plus 13.5. Baylor and TCU going off here on Saturday. Baylor now 4-2 after a 35-34 home victory against Kansas State. The Bears rushed for 3.9 yards a carry and were effective in the passing game. They allowed 162 yards rushing for 4.5 yards a carry with 339 yards passing for 7.4 yards per pass attempt. Sawyer Roberts in the game, 25 of 39 passing for 345 yards, 2 touchdowns and a pick. TCU 4-2 after a 41-28 road defeat to Kansas State. Horned Frogs rushed for 72 yards for 3.3 yards a carry and effective in the passing game. They allowed 3.2 yards per rush to the Wildcats with 198 yards passing for 7.6 yards per pass attempt. Josh Hoover in the game, 26 of 47 passing for 376 yards, 3 touchdowns, 2 picks. TCU's losses have come on the road. Dating back to last year, the Bears have failed to cover 6 of 7. The Bears' defense has been poor on the road by allowing 36 points per game with 293 yards passing for 8.6 yards per pass attempt. TCU at home has defended the run well and getting great work from the quarterback with 338 yards passing for 9.7 yards per pass attempt. The Horned Frogs 4-0 to the spread at home on a road defeat. Pick here TCU -3. Washington and Michigan going off here on Saturday. All right, we've got Washington now 5-1 after a 38-19 home victory against Rutgers. The Huskies had a monster pass performance and rushed for 177 yards for 5.5 yards a carry. They allowed 4.1 yards per rush with 386 yards passing for 7.7 yards per pass attempt. Devin Williams here, 21 of 27 passes for 402 yards with 2 touchdowns. He rushed for 136 yards and 2 scores. Michigan drops to 4-2 after a 31-13 road defeat to USC. Wolverines rushed for only 3.5 yards a carry and moved the ball through the air. On defense, they surrendered 489 yards to the Trojans with poor work against the run and pass. Bryce Underwood here, 15 of 24 passing for 207 yards with 2 touchdowns and a pick. Michigan's losses have come on the road. The Huskies in their step-up games were defeated by 18 at home against Ohio State. Huskies' road defense has been good by allowing 1.8 yards per rush, 5.8 yards per pass attempt. Wolverines' home wins came against the down Wisconsin team, Central Michigan, and New Mexico. In conference play, the Wolverines are struggling with quarterback accuracy and pass defense. They're allowing 72% completion rate for 7.4 yards per pass attempt. Wolverines 5-9 to the spread as home favorite the past 2+ seasons. Pick here Washington +6. LSU and Vanderbilt going off here on Saturday. LSU now 5-1 after a 20-10 home victory against South Carolina. The Tigers had really good passing performance and rushed for 166 yards for 5.5 yards a carry. Defensively, they handled the pass well and allowed 193 yards rushing for 4.3 yards a carry. Garrett Nussmeier here, 20 of 33 passing for 254 yards with 2 touchdowns and 2 picks. Vanderbilt now 5-1 after a 30-14 road defeat to Alabama. Commodores were inefficient with the pass, but rushed for 135 yards for 7.1 yards per rush. Diego Pavia, 21 of 36 for 198 yards with a touchdown and a pick. He rushed for 58 yards. LSU's defense holding opponents at 3.3 yards per rush and only 5.8 yards per pass attempt. The Vanderbilt defense gave up 72% completion rate, 9 yards per pass attempt against the SEC. They have been relying heavily on the ground against the SEC and have been inefficient in the passing game. Pick here LSU +2.5. Georgia Tech and Duke for Saturday. Georgia Tech 6-0 after a 35-20 home victory to Virginia Tech. The Yellow Jackets rushed for 269 yards for 6.5 yards a carry and effective in the passing game. They allowed 361 yards to the Hokies with poor defense against the run and pass. Haynes King completed 20 of 24 passes for 213 yards with a touchdown. He rushed for 60 yards and 2 scores. Duke improved to 4-2 after a 45-21 road victory at Cal. The Blue Devils rushed for 178 yards for 4.8 yards a carry and effective in the passing game. They limited Golden Bears on the ground to 1.5 yards per rush and 245 yards passing for 7.6 yards per pass attempt. Darian Mensah here goes 22 of 30 for passing for 265 yards and 2 scores. Blue Devils dropped games at home to Illinois and at Tulane. The Yellow Jackets have a notable home win against Clemson. Georgia Tech in conference has gotten accurate quarterback play and rushed for 193 yards. They have limited conference foes to 54% completion rate. Duke has defended against the pass poorly this year, allowing 71% completions, 8.8 yards per pass attempt. Pick here Georgia Tech plus 1.5. Army and Tulane going off on Saturday. Army now 3-3 after a 24-7 home victory against Charlotte. The Black Knights rushed for 304 yards with 4.8 yards a carry with minimal passing. They held the 49ers to 2 yards a carry and defended the pass well. Cale Helms in the game, 2 of 4 passing for 50 yards. He rushed for 143 yards and 2 scores. Tulane now 5-1, a 26-19 home victory against East Carolina. Green Wave rushed for 3.9 yards a carry and effective in the passing game. They allowed 160 yards rushing to the Pirates for 3.7 yards a carry with 6 yards per pass attempt. Jake Retzloff in the game, 26 of 36 passing for 347 yards and 2 touchdowns. Army has losses at home to North Texas by 7, East Carolina by 22. Army on the road is averaging only 20 points per game as they struggle converting third downs. Defensively, they allow 7.7 yards per pass attempt. At home, the Green Wave rushed for 5.3 yards a carry and getting good quarterback play. They defended well at home, allowing 16 points per game. Pick here Tulane here at minus 9.5. UConn and Boston College going off on Saturday. Connecticut improved to 4-2 after a 51-10 home victory against FIU. The Huskies rushed for 150 yards for 4.5 yards a carry with great work in the passing game. They limited FIU in the passing department and allowed 130 yards rushing for 3.6 yards a carry. Joe Fagnano, 22 of 28 passing for 355 yards with 4 touchdowns in the game. Boston College 1-5 after a 41-10 home defeat to Clemson. BC rushed for under 3 yards a carry and were ineffective in the passing game. They allowed 504 yards to the Tigers with poor work against the run and pass. Dylan Lonergan, 12 of 19 passing for 117 yards. BC's only win came against an FCS school. This is their only FBS opponent from that is not in a major conference. UConn has road losses at Delaware and Syracuse. Connecticut on the road allowing 269 yards passing for 7 yards per pass attempt. The Eagles at home averaging 264 yards passing for 7.5 yards per pass attempt and have defended well. Pick here Boston College minus 1.5. Oklahoma and South Carolina for Saturday. Oklahoma fell to 5-1 after a 24-6 neutral site defeat to Texas. The Sooners rushed for 1.6 yards a carry and were ineffective in the passing game. They allowed 3.8 yards per run to the Longhorns with 166 yards passing for 6.1 yards per pass attempt. John Mateer in the game, 20 of 38 passes for 202 yards with 3 interceptions, returning from injury. He was wearing a brace on his thumb. South Carolina drops to 3-3 after a 20-10 road defeat at LSU. The Gamecocks rushed for 193 yards for 4.5 yards a carry and were ineffective in the passing game. They allowed 166 yards rushing to the Tigers with 5.5 yards per rush, along with 7.7 yards per pass attempt. Lenora Sellers in the game, 15 of 27 passing for 124 yards with a pick. The Sooners' offense has struggled away from home, just 1.4 yards per rush and inaccurate quarterback play. South Carolina at home get accurate and efficient quarterback play. Their defense at home gives less than 3 yards a carry with 169 yards passing. No Mateer's thumb is a concern. Oklahoma 0-3 of the spread on the road as a favorite of 7 points or fewer. Gamecocks 6-4 of the spread at home against the SEC. Pick here South Carolina plus 5.5. West Virginia and UCF for Saturday. West Virginia now 2-4 after a 38-24 road win at BYU. The Mountaineers rushed for 156 yards for 3.3 yards a carry. They allowed nearly 4 yards per rush to the Cougars. They were poor defending the pass. Khalil Wilkins, 7 of 15 passing for 81 yards and 2 picks. Wilkins was forced into action with an injury to Jalen Henderson, who was doubtful. UCF now 3-3 after a 20-11 road defeat at Cincinnati. The Knights rushed for 191 yards for 4.7 yards a carry and were inefficient in the passing game. They allowed 4.3 yards per run to the Bearcats with 191 yards passing for 9.1 yards per pass attempt. Cam Fancher in the game, 28 of 49 passing for 222 yards. He rushed for 108 yards and a score. WVU quarterback situation is a concern. They've lost their past 4 road games by 7 or greater points. Their past 3 road conference games resulted in losses by 14 or greater points. Mountaineers on the road have given up 203 yards rushing and 9.1 yards per pass attempt. Their running and passing games have been poor on the highway offensively. UCF at home rushing for nearly 6 yards a carry and getting pretty good quarterback play along with defense. Pick here UCF -7. Kent State and Toledo going off on Saturday. Kent State now 2-4 after a 42-6 home victory against UMass. The Golden Flashes rushed for 151 yards for 3.6 yards a carry and efficient in the passing game. They limited the Minutemen run and pass. Drew Shields, 10 of 18 passing for 148 yards with 4 touchdowns. Toledo sits at 3-3 after a 28-23 road defeat to Bowling Green. The Rockets blew a 21-0 lead in the game. They rushed for 165 yards for 3.8 yards a carry and effective in the passing game. They limited the Falcons to under 2 yards per carry and 165 yards passing for 9.7 yards per pass attempt. Tucker Gleason, 19 of 30 passing for 264 yards with a touchdown and pick. Toledo's losses have come on the road. They have pounded teams at home. Kent State has played 3 power conference schools on the road and have been pounded. The Rockets at home rushed for 5.1 yards a carry and got really good quarterback play with outstanding defense. Kent State here, 3-12 to the spread on the road. The Rockets are 4-1 to the spread at home, facing teams that allow 4.75 yards per rush or greater. Pick here Toledo -26.5. For more free pick videos, be sure to subscribe to our channel. Lots of free picks over our channel, delivered by myself, as well as our team of McCaffers here at Tony'sPicks.com, making this a great channel to subscribe to. Hit us up with that like, that thumbs up. We greatly appreciate it. We go live every day, 9:30 a.m. Eastern Time, Tony 6 Morning Show. Check us out, interact with us in the live chat, and then visit our site, Tony'sPicks.com, for our best bets, our pre and plays, cappers, showing leaderboards, best bets, and more ready to roll here for you on this Tuesday. Remember, all of our one-day passes are profit guaranteed. They must turn a profit or amount purchased is credit back to your account for site credit, so that's profit guarantee. And then our promo code TonyT at checkout will knock off that 15%. The link is in the description to get signed up. That's going to do it for now. I'm Tony T, and we'll talk to you later.